Yes, folks, welcome to the Fundamental Wisdom Podcast EP 10 with your host, Coach Bart K. On this podcast is where we ask the questions that you want the answers to and discuss ideas in order to help you level up to your highest self. We have practical discussions to help you level up spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. And on this episode, I'm joined by a very, very special guest, a true ambassador of the holistic health scene, probably one of the best natty physiques I've ever seen in my life. A brother from down under, Sam from CoastBrah. Sam, brother, how you doing?
Very well, thank you, man. Thank you for having me on. Very, very nice introduction from you.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Off the dome. I used to prepare them, but now it's off the dome. So yeah, man, you're looking good. I see the delts are looking crazy now.
Yeah, they're coming through now, man. Yeah.
So what you got going on? Are you cutting right now, or?
I am, and I'm in a bit of a cut at the moment. I'm currently 3 weeks out from a competition, so yeah, I'm pretty deep into a cut at the moment.
So talk to us about that, man. That's really interesting. What competition is it? Is it like Aussie nationals or what's going on?
It's a state championship for where I'm living in Australia. It's for Western Australia championship. So
Wow.
Yeah, should be good, man. All natural competition, so going to be tested as well. So we'll be good.
That's important as well, because in the scene, there's a lot of grifters as well, and people taking things that they shouldn't be taking, telling people that this is achievable naturally. So that's huge, man, being tested. That's huge. So talk to us about that, man. Talk to us about how you're preparing your cut for competing, because, a lot of people chase a good physique, and that's so super important. But, not a lot of people take the time to compete, which is huge, man. That's like, a badge of honor. So how's your cut coming along?
Yeah, the cut's good, man. The cut is good. It's pretty stock standard stuff. It's pretty much the exact same diet I've been running the past year, just slowly, decreasing the calories as I come into the competition and, playing with water retention and things like that. But it's pretty stock standard stuff,
Cool, man. So it's not your first time competing, is it? I don't think
it is. It's my first competition. Yeah, it is. So I'm actually pretty excited for it. It's been a while in the works now, but I think we're finally at a point, we're ready to take it to the stage.
And how do you feel about it? Are you feeling confident?
Yeah, I don't want to, shoot myself in the foot, but I'm feeling pretty confident. Yeah, should be good, man. Just looking forward to the experience,
And you're looking fantastic, as I said as well. So, man, that's huge.
Cheers, brother.
That's huge. All the best in that, and I'm sure the listeners are on your side as well. So, as I said, you're in the holistic health space, so you have a much different angle to all of these like standard gym pros, which I'm sure you will notice at the competition as well. You're not just stuffing your face with protein the
newest pre-workout, and I know what you mean. Yeah,
there you go.
I'm taking it from quite a different angle than most bodybuilding preps, kind of obviously going towards the holistic bodybuilding route. Just kind of staying well clear away from the protein powders and the pre-workouts, and the over expecting the supplements to kind of save you is the classic mentality you kind of see nowadays in the whole fitness scene, not just bodybuilding. No one's really prioritizing the fundamentals anymore. Everyone's very, very quick to jump on the newest pre-workout, the newest protein, the newest supplement that's going to give them, the untold gains. They should just be probably looking at some sort of sleep routine or their nutrition and things like that,
That's huge, man. Yeah, I back that up as well. Everyone's looking for a quick fix. Like, you hear all these things, exactly. Testosterone and peptides and this and that, and then obviously you go into like PEDs and all of that as well, whereas like you're saying, a lot of people would just be better off sticking to, hey man, like get some more sun or
just
eat some better food. So that's huge. So you said the word fundamentals, which I like because it's obviously in the title of this podcast. So you said people don't stick to the fundamentals anymore. What would some of those fundamentals be for you?
feel like the first fundamental thing that you should be looking at is your mindset. You know, if you can approach your physique that you're trying to craft from like a mental capacity where you're thinking, is this going to help me? Is going out drinking on the weekend going to help me get to my goal? Is eating that McDonald's going to help me get to my goal? If you get that mindset kind of right from the start, you can't really go wrong. But that's where a lot of people just skip over the mindset part at the start, and they just say, I want to get big no matter what. I don't really care about the ramifications. I'm going to go down the PED route, or I'm going to just eat as much junk food, processed food as I can to try put on as much weight. And then they just end up looking like shit. So yeah, it's a very, very slippery slope. So I think the mindset is the first one. And then from that mindset, you're going to get nutrition, obviously huge, the training, your training modalities, how you're training, and then probably the biggest, one of the biggest ones as well, another fundamental is your recovery, which is like that whole sleep side of things, and also low stress environments, everything like that.
Yeah, huge.
So probably those big four, but it all kind of stems off the first one, which is the mindset.
Yeah, one thing I will add as well is like in mindset, you have beliefs as well. So, you're saying that, some people disregard the importance of things like proper nutrition through their mindset, but a lot of people simply don't believe that they can achieve it. Like if they look a certain way right now, they're like, oh yeah, well, this guy CoastBrah on Instagram, yeah, he looks shredded, but that could never be me. And all these like self-limiting beliefs are huge as well, because if you don't believe you can achieve it, you're not going to achieve it realistically. So
exactly, you're not 100%. You're not going to do what it takes to actually get to that point of whatever your goal might be. Like I haven't always looked like this. I've been training probably 12 years now, 12, 13 years now. And I was growing up, I was this super skinny kid, always super skinny, and then I went into the classic gym bro, chicken, broccoli, rice, drinking on the weekends, partying, everything like that. Whereas if I actually did things how I'm doing them now, I feel like, it could have made that process a lot quicker. It wouldn't take 12, 13 years to get where I am now.
So now that you touched on it a little bit, you were a super skinny kid. Talk to us about that, man. Let's hear the CoastBrah biography. Where did you start? And how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, man. Well, I started weight training the first year of high school. Yeah, so I must have been 12, 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
Pretty young. I started doing it obviously to try put on some size because like I said, I was that skinny kid. I was very involved in kickboxing, MMA, things like that. And obviously I wanted to get that extra size and that strength to carry over into training and bouts and things like that. So that's where it kind of started in the gym. And then it just progressed until I more fell in love with the weight training side of things rather than the MMA training, the kickboxing training. And that's when I just made that switch over to just weight training.
And you went through the standard gym bro phase as well.
Yeah, man.
Chicken, broccoli, rice.
I've done it all, man.
Partying, yeah.
Yeah.
When did that switch come for you? When did you notice that, perhaps I'm leaving some gains on the table, and perhaps, I'm chasing health, but I'm not healthy per se. When did that mindset shift come in?
Well, there wasn't a specific flick of a light switch kind of where I just made that switch just from really average to really dialed in. It was a slow burn. Obviously, I've been doing it a while. I just slowly, discard the useless kind of things I was doing and then add in better things to do along the way. So obviously changing the diet, things like that. I've done pretty much every diet you can kind of think of and tried them all out, try to figure what one works best for myself. I've tried to, obviously the partying is a huge one, like at university, you're going out drinking on the weekends, you're training 5 times a week. It's just it's not really conducive to you actually achieving that thing you're setting out to achieve, which is obviously trying to get a really good physique is the main goal. And that's what I've kind of had in my mind for years now that I've been working towards. But I was pretty much just simply getting in my own way. And that was pretty much the gist of it. And yeah, so I just started getting less out of my own way as the time went on, and until I'm at where I'm at now. And I've pretty much got most of it dialed in, I'd like to say.
Well, of course, if you're competing, you have to be, you know, dialed in, like tunnel vision. So that's huge.
Yeah.
So before we move on to like the different things you were doing at different stages, for example, gym bro versus now, I want to know how you felt, because I feel like that's the most important thing, how you felt, like, you know, physically, mentally, about yourself when you were in that like gym bro phase, and perhaps some of the other like fad diets you were in versus this holistic side of things now.
Yeah, man. So the worst thing about trying to put on weight as a gym bro when you're skinny is trying to eat all the time, right? So I'm constantly eating, you know, chicken, broccoli, rice, you know, some processed food. I got like tuna and seed oils. I'm just hitting everything, you know, and I'm just constantly bloated, feel like shit, drained of energy, not feeling supremely healthy, which is where I'm trying to get to. But I just didn't realize it, right? I was just focused on eating as many calories as possible to try put on as much weight as possible in hopes of putting on as much muscle as possible, right? It wasn't until I figured out that nutrition has such a big part in actually how you feel and your recovery, and in turn the muscle that you put on, that's when I actually started feeling a lot better, when I started eliminating, you know, the processed foods, the seed oils, vegetable oils, all those kind of things, and just started focusing on pretty much the diet I'm into now, which is, you know, red meat, eggs, and a shitload of them, a little bit of rice around training sessions, things like that, fruit, pretty much like a bit of a spin on an animal-based diet is pretty much where I'm at now. And I feel pretty good all the time. I don't have any gut issues, anything like that. Obviously don't drink alcohol or anything like that anymore. So that obviously helps with the gut health and, you know, with the recovery, with your sleep, everything like that. It's all kind of like interconnected, right? So like all these little parts you think aren't connected to you getting to that 1% kind of physique that you're trying to achieve, you don't actually realize it, but it is all connected. So if you can just kind of cross out those little parts that are holding you back, that 1 or 2%, that's when you're going to start taking it to that little next level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. And super important thing you mentioned there, gut health. So
Yeah, man.
a lot of people that I've had on this podcast, right, we all follow a similar diet, you know, just like red meat, eggs, fruit, honey, all of that sorts of, all that stuff, right? And I know they say there is no like one size fits all diet because everyone is different, but everyone that tries this diet inevitably thrives on the diet, right? Everyone feels incredible. You have guys like Sam competing in a bodybuilding competition in 3 weeks on this diet. You've other people, you know, chasing their goals and dreams with limitless energy. So that is massive. But the thing that stood out to me there about just like a standard Western or standard gym bro diet is the gut health and gut issues. Because I've been through that as well, man. When you're just like destroying your gut with as many calories as possible. You don't care what you're eating just because, you know, you got to eat more calories. Oh, I'm skinny, I got to eat more calories. Or, for example, as well, for me, I'm quite a bit overweight in university. So then to trim down, I was just like eating massive salads, just straight raw greens all the time, like spinach and kale and all of this, to just like try and get as much volume for as little calories as possible. Dude, your gut health is
just
destroyed. Like, and you don't realize it. You think that's the price you pay for health. You're just like, well, it's two sides of the spectrum. Either I can go to the bathroom or I have to go to the bathroom every fucking hour, which now on this diet, you know, it's just everything is perfect. And from your digestion and from your gut and from your stomach health, it's like everything is affected. You know, it's something like 90% of your dopamine or serotonin is produced in your gut. So when your gut health is fucked, your whole mood and like you just can't focus on anything. Like, say, for example, you have a headache.
Exactly, man.
Okay, you can get through the day with a headache. But if something's wrong with your stomach, dude, that takes such a toll on every other area of life. You can't do anything, you know. So that is huge.
It's that translation from, it's not just the training, so it carries on to everything in your life, right? It's like your mental clarity, your focus, what you can do with work, you know, how long you can actually sit down and not, you know, trip out like ADHD because you're watching TikTok all the time and things like that, you know. It all plays a part into it. Like I said, it's all kind of interconnected, right?
So what are some things that you did to optimize your digestion, Sam?
Like you said, man, cutting out the raw vegetables, pretty much cutting out all vegetables completely at the moment. Focus on all whole foods, cut out all processed foods. So, you know, all of the artificial, just mumbo jumbo crap that's got a name you can't even pronounce. You know, that's we're not really designed to digest these chemicals, right? So we're just going to keep that out of our mouth and then out of our gut, because you're just shooting yourself in the foot, you know, like you're having these artificial sweetened, flavored, you know, chocolates or lollies, sweets, whatever you call it. It's not helping you, right? Yeah, cut all that out completely, all the processed foods. And then again, it comes back to the mindset thing. You know, I get a lot of people saying, oh, how do you eat that all the time? Don't you want to have a cheat meal? It's like, no, I don't. This is I feel so amazing eating this food. And why would I want to do that? Why would I want to, you know, cheat and eat something that's terrible for myself, that's going to hold me back from where I want to go? It's like a really backwards way of thinking that a lot of people have kind of fallen into, and it's just the social norm, especially, you know, in the Western culture here.
Dude, the whole thing about cheat meals pisses me off, because if you optimize your diet and your nutrition, number one, you don't crave cheat meals whatsoever, because like you're saying, you just feel so good. Why would you reward yourself with doing harm to your body? It just doesn't make sense. Like, reward yourself with doing something positive, eating something good, to you know,
You have
keep that momentum
steak,
going.
You know?
Like,
yeah, man.
But the thing as well is, cheat meal is usually associated with, like, you know, going out somewhere, whatever. I don't know what you have in Australia, but like Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell and McDonald's, and just going out and destroying a meal just for like 10 seconds of mouth pleasure, but then you feel awful for like 3 days. But the thing is, if you just know like the fundamentals of nutrition and how to actually eat as a human, you can just remake any cheat meal at home and it can be healthy. Like, you can have a burger, you can have some pizza, you can have a kebab, you can have some French fries, you can have like some ice cream, you can have literally any food, right? That hasn't just been fucking dumbed down by like modernity and seed oils and all these artificial flavorings and processed whatever. So cheat meals, 100%
agree with you there, man.
Gym bro, I've been there.
You can pretty much make any meal that you'd buy out yourself at home with these ingredients, and you're going to make it 10 times better. You know, maybe you're not so good at cooking, but that's another skill you can learn, right? And then once you have that skill and you're a good cook, that's going to carry with you for the rest of your life. You know, if you're just don't know how to cook, so I just get McDonald's or go out and just get someone else to cook for me, you have no idea what's in that food, man. You know, that's just an easy way to inflame yourself, you know, chronic inflammation, destroy your gut health, and eventually obviously hold you back from what your goal is.
Man, just to expand on cooking, obviously we're both very passionate about it. I gotta say, like, people overcomplicate it so much, and I believe it's a mindset thing as well. Like, dude, I post a lot of food on my Instagram, as you probably already know. I get so
I like it, man. I love to see it.
I appreciate it, but I get so many people like, dude, how do you cook this? How do you, oh my goodness, how you cook so good? How do you, bro, like, on this diet, what do you even need to cook? Like you could,
You
number
cook
one,
like five things,
you could eat everything raw, but
Yeah.
I tend not to do that. You can have your eggs raw, you can have
Yeah.
like steak tartare. There's no cooking there. But like, what does it take to just slap a steak on a pan and then
Dude,
turn it
it's
over
literally
after 1 minute? Like that's it. And then you make it look nice on the plate. But it's the easiest thing to do in the world, and people
absolute
overcomplicate it.
minimal effort, man.
It's like, dude.
Yeah.
So talk to us about your diet now. You said it's just red meat, eggs, fruit, all that sorts of things. But coming into your cut now, 3 weeks out from a competition, what exactly does it look like?
Exactly that still, man. Just slightly less eggs in the morning, slightly less. I'll do like a ground beef and with a little bit of rice around like a training session. Mix that in with some bone broth. That's really good. And then afterwards a little bit more rice, replenish the glycogen a bit after that session, and some more ground beef. And then I'll probably go for, a steak or two later on in the day.
A steak or two, man. Love that. Love that. So just as we're on the topic of nutrition, to round it off, you said you have tried a lot of the diets. So I just want to yes or no for all of these, and I'll get talking about them. Have you been keto?
Yes.
Have you been vegan?
No way, man.
No, oh, what the dude? You said every diet.
Man.
You've never been vegan.
Oh, I wouldn't call that a diet, man.
Yeah, it's a cult. Well, you know what? I've been there, unfortunately. Like,
dude.
I was there for like 3.5 weeks, but then just, oh goodness, like you're destroying yourself from inside out. Like, I'm so happy
It's
I
crazy,
snapped
man.
out of it. My sister lasted like a couple of months, but I feel like it affects girls a bit differently. So she was actually doing quite all right, but dude, it fucking destroyed me. So you tried keto. Why do you now eat carbs compared to just being keto?
Well, the keto I did wasn't keto per se. It was just literally an animal-based diet, or more of a carnivore diet, right? Without the rice. But I felt, flat all the time. In my training sessions, I weren't performing them as well as I was previously with the rice implemented in as well. Just feeling, low energy levels, no glycogen, not ready to explode, low strength, and it was actually costing me in the intensity of the training sessions. So I just made that switch back.
That's a big one, man. A lot of people in this community shit on carbs. But then again, a lot of people don't. But especially like in the carnivore community, people say that carbs are bad, you don't need carbs. But take it here from a soon-to-be professional, bodybuilder, men's physique competitor. You need carbs, especially if you're, hitting gym heavy, and if you have goals to chase, like physical goals. You need some carbs, replenish the glycogen stores. At the end of the day, it's going to be your number one source of energy as well for your brain, for your muscles. Man. So that's good, man. That is good. I feel like we've really dug deep into nutrition. So now, obviously, the second most important thing for what you're doing right now is your training. So I imagine when you were a standard gym bro, was it like a gym bro split that you were on as well? Did you have like
Man,
arm day? Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, so, a lot of skip leg days in the past.
I feel you.
It was the classic split, man. Chest Mondays, back, shoulders and arms, skip legs, do chest again. Maybe hit legs when I'm feeling up for it. It was a classic like one body part kind of split thing. It helped. Obviously, you're gonna put on muscle regardless if you're a relatively untrained individual, no matter what you do. Obviously, I don't feel it is the optimal way to train, so I no longer kind of do that. I'm more looking at every body part 2 times per week, short and lengthened positions, training all of them. Focus on time under tension, not really throwing any kind of weight around, just really focusing on building muscle.
So you touched on that briefly, but how has your training changed over the years? Like, you went from a standard gym bro split to now, is it something like upper lower, push pull legs? something along those.
Yeah. Pretty much like that. Push pull legs. I might go another push pull legs. Slightly different variations of the workout. You know, more middle back, upper back, lat focus back workouts per se, or things like that. You know, but trying to hit every body part twice per week is the main thing I'm kind of looking at the moment. Looking at around 5-6 training sessions a week.
Oh wow, yeah, it makes sense. One thing you mentioned there that's super important, I feel, is not throwing any weight around, which is absolutely
100.
massive, because
That's the biggest thing.
I'm sure
That
you've
is...
been there now saying this, but I've been there myself as well. You know, you feel like a big G, you feel like a don just going in the gym and you're repping out whatever, you're repping out, you know, 100-kilo bench for reps, but just technique isn't there at all. You're bouncing the shit off your chest. You're just going up really quick and you're just using momentum, which is completely not the way to build muscle, which actually takes ego as well. Like it takes dropping your ego to be at a certain way, you know, doing it for reps and then dropping it because perhaps it isn't the best way to do it. And like, I imagine what you follow now is just making the most out of the least weight possible, something along the lines of that.
Exactly like that. As Joel Kellett says, you know, exactly that quote is make the lightest weight feel as heavy as possible. It depends what your goal is. Obviously, if you're trying to be a power lifter, then this philosophy doesn't really work for you and apply to you. But if you're trying to better your physique and look a certain way and put muscle on, you know, what is throwing around 100 kilos on the bench with horrible form? What is that gonna do to get you closer to that goal of yours? If your goal is to really get the pinnacle physique, it's not really conducive to that. So you got to kind of break it down a little step further than just trying to throw as much weight around as possible, because you see it every day you go into the gym. You see guys throwing around weight they have no business in lifting. So it's really about using that particular muscle and specifically that portion of the muscle, you know, like say your upper chest. You're trying to build your upper chest to get that kind of shelf going. So that real aesthetic sort of physique, the old school kind of style. You know, doing as heavy bench press as you can, like you said, exploding, bouncing off your chest. That's not going to get you there, man. So why are you even doing it? That's why you should just kind of take a step back and actually assess what you are actually doing with your training. So you can kind of figure out what you're doing. You're just completely wasting your time. And just focus that energy on things that are going to get you closer to that goal. Obviously, it's all depending on what your goal is. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt.
So let's talk about hypertrophy, right? Trying to build quality, lifelong muscle, right? So a lot of the health and fitness scene, just like we were saying, you know, focuses on the weight, and all you see is PRs and weight, and guys try to push as much weight as possible. So with your approach and, you know, your clients that you train, what are the markers that you look out for, you know, for getting the weight that they're using? What are some better things to focus on? We briefly mentioned this, but there's a follow-up question I want to ask as well.
The thing you should focus on is mechanical tension. That's the number one driver of hypertrophy. So that's all you need to be focusing on. There's a few ways you can obviously increase that mechanical tension. Increasing the weight is one, but that's the last thing we're going to do. The other things we're going to do is the time that muscle is under the tension. We're going to improve that form so that specific muscle is getting all of the tension, not everything else kind of taking over at the same time to get that weight up. That's when you're just lifting too heavy and you just need to dial the weight back. And those are two modalities you can do before you kind of increase that weight. And when those are dialed in to the like perfect, the 9th degree, you know, then increase the weight. And then start the whole process again, you know, and then you just slowly kind of climb up in the weight that you're using, you know. That's what I would recommend.
That is huge, man. And coming from a guy that has the biggest delts I've ever seen, you're looking like Derek from More Plates, More Dates. That's huge, guys. Listen to Sam, man. I feel like he knows a thing or two. So some other questions people are probably going to have is about reps and sets. How would you, how would you do that in your training sessions?
Yeah, man. So you got to make every rep as maximal of the tension on that particular muscle part, right? So if you're doing 5 reps, and that's good on that muscle, then that part of the muscle tires, and you're just using all these other muscles to get that weight up. That's not getting you closer to your goal. So that's when you need to kind of dial it back. We're probably looking at it's pretty well documented and research, this sort of thing now, around that 6 to 12, sometimes up 15 reps per set. And you're probably going to want to be hitting around 10 sets per week, working sets. This is, we're only counting working sets, like where you're actually high intensity. You're kind of pushing it. Those last 2-3 reps, they need to be pushing it. I see that all the time. Is this, a few kind of people in the gym. You got the guys throwing around the crazy weight that they have no business doing, and then you have also the guys that they have 10 reps left in the tank and then they just stop. That's the intensity is just not there. So that's going to be a huge thing that you should be looking at probably first, is where is my intensity at with my training? You need to be actually struggling those last few reps of that set. Otherwise you're not really there for a reason, right? You get that muscle gain and that damage. Most of it is from that last little section where where your mind tells you to stop, but you kind of push through, right? And that's where all the results are going to be coming from. And I was guilty of this as well in the past. You're just going through the motions. You're going to the gym and you think you're training, but you're not really seeing any results. It's probably from the intensity that you are actually training. You're just wasting your time pretty much. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Been there myself, of course. Been there myself. Like so easy to just throw on some good music or throw on a podcast in your headphones, and you're just kind of there, like oh la di da di da. Oh, I'm going gym. But at the end of the day, you could just be using your time better. You could even shorten down your workout from an hour and a half to 55 minutes and get a better workout in that's more conducive to building a better physique. But one thing I will say as well, not to like demotivate any listeners or viewers, going to the gym at the end of the day is going to be better than not going to the gym. And me talking with, a professional bodybuilder right now, saying that you're wasting your time if you're not hitting perfect RPE of 10 at the end, and, you can't even do one more rep in the tank. Like, yes, that's important, but this is like you said, ninth dan advanced level bodybuilding, right? So don't let that demotivate you. This is just a tip. And 100%. If you're only like starting out in the gym, just, go with the flow, see what works. And then, a couple weeks, couple months down the line, maybe you can start implementing the ideas that we're talking about right now. So
100%. Yeah. I should have mentioned that actually, is any movement is better than no movement at all. If you're just starting out, obviously this sort of advice doesn't really apply to you at the moment. Just get in the gym, move some weight around. You don't even have to use weight. Just move your body around. Just, do some star jumps, or, jump on the assault bike a little bit. Try do some bicep curls, or I don't know, just do something. Just do something, right? And then once you're doing something, doing a little bit more seems like less work. And then you just keep building on that. And then once you've built on that for a respectable amount of time, that's when you're going to start implementing these other things I've been talking about just previously.
So before we move away from the gym, I just have one more question. This is kind of putting you on the spot here, but I want to know your top 3 favorite exercises. And I know that's a very open question, but what are 3 exercises that come to mind?
That's a very good question. My top 3 favorite will be the hack squat is one of them.
Oh, what? It was hack squat favorite. Psycho.
Well, it's so hard, right? So it's great. You don't want to do it, but then once you've done it, you're feeling so much better. And it's a mental thing, right? You're wanting to bitch out, and you're telling yourself, your little inner bitch, that you shouldn't go hard. But if you just go ham every time on that hack squat, you're just setting yourself up for success. Hack squat, incline dumbbell press, obviously clavicular head, and probably lateral raises, 100% lateral raises. Yeah, man.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Hack squat, favorite? Okay, maybe like you say, if you want to like conquer your weak mindset, but dude, hack squat will have you rolling out of the gym in a wheelchair.
Yeah, man.
Cool, man. That's going
What
really
about
deep.
you? What's your top three, Bart?
Oh, well, I would say incline dumbbell as well, and lat
Yep.
raises for sure. And I
Yep.
really like lat pullovers. These lat
Oh,
pullovers.
yeah, man. Yeah, they're pretty good, right?
Like I started doing lat pullovers, and I feel like my back is just like getting wider and wider because you know you're doing the
Can't even fit through doorways now, man.
yeah. Like it just hit. If you've never done it before, try it out because I feel like it just hits your back so differently compared to like your standard pull up or like a lat pull down where you're just pulling straight downwards. The pull over motion is like
Yeah, man.
just
You keep
so
those
good.
elbows tucked as you go through that movement. Oh, it's
Mm.
crazy the contraction you can get on that iliac part of your lat, man. It's
As
great.
well at the end as well, just kind of like jerk your chest in and up, and you just really feel your back just expanding. So
it's
that's
crazy,
a good
right?
one.
Yeah, no, that is a very good exercise. I'll give you that one.
You don't see a lot of people do. Like I think I saw someone in this niche doing it on their Instagram story, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen anyone do that before. Really, you know, it feels like a sort of
what attachment do you
advanced.
use for that one?
Just a straight bar. Straight bar, and I
Yeah.
like to hold it
Like
wide
or
as well. Yeah,
yeah,
wide.
man. Yeah. I feel like the wide lat pull down bar, it kind of feels the best, but anatomically it should be the rope where your elbows are a bit closer to your body. So that's that kind of lat movement, right? But you know, everyone feels it a bit.
Yeah, I might try that out actually. Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, give it a go, man. Get back to me.
Thanks for that. Cool. So we've covered nutrition and training in depth, which is massive, bro. There's so much value in here covered from a guy like yourself. But now, obviously you're competing, so you know you still are a human being outside of eating and going to the gym, and you have other things going on. So what I want to know is, you know, obviously you're dialed in now. What are some things you do outside of the gym? Like, how does your day-to-day life look? What are some habits that you know you've implemented now that you're trying to compete? What are some things that you've moved away from? Obviously, for example, you said alcohol is a big one.
100%.
How does your life look?
Yeah, moving away from alcohol is a big one. I made that a really big push the last 6 months, moving away from that whole partying scene and trying to just focus all my energy on mindset and business and things like that.
Which,
and kind of,
sorry to interrupt, but obviously I know
Yeah,
Australia drinking culture is insane. Like I've partied with some Australians before, and dude, you guys party. So that's a big step, I imagine, out there. And you know, all these Aussies running around taking shoeies as well. Is that a thing? Where you're shoeies?
Yeah, man. I'm not doing any of those. Yeah, man.
So just for the viewers, a shoey is a drink out of your shoe. Don't ask why.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
Australians.
You pour a beer into your shoe and you drink it out of your shoe. It's quite disgusting, but you know, some people seem to enjoy it. So I let them have their fun. But you know, I spend a lot of time at the beach. It's just been, we've had a few cloudy days recently, but I'm living in Perth, and I think it's the city with the most sun in the world, the most sunlight hours in the world. So it's usually pretty sunny. So it's pretty good, man. A lot of time at the beach, at the gym, socializing with friends. Obviously not, you know, you don't have to drink to socialize, which is, a lot of people don't actually realize that. They kind of use alcohol as a bit of a crutch so that they can, you know, be open with their friends and talk freely without, you know, kind of being so anxious about everything and things like that. But you can totally just hang out with friends, with like-minded people. You can talk about, you know, your business, you can talk about lifestyle, you can talk about, you know, nutrition, you can talk about a lot of kind of things that are going to help you out rather than talking about things that aren't going to help you out. And I feel like making that kind of switch is huge when you're trying to go after your goals.
That's a big one, man. Obviously, I'm Polish-born, Irish-raised. So both of those countries have a massive drinking culture. And even now here in Turkey, like I feel like every country in the world just has such a massive drinking culture. For what reason? Like
Exactly.
it's literally poison. It really makes you think. And what type of person are you if you can't even go out and talk to another human being without poisoning yourself? It just makes no fucking sense to me. And I've been there. I've been in those shackles in university where I was going out every single night, you know. I was DJing, and to be social and to get over my social anxiety, I had to have at least 2 or 3 beers. And then, you know, oh, it warms me up. It's social lubricant. But like, you feel like something's gone very, very wrong if you can't connect with another human on this earth without using poison.
Exactly, man. It's the whole alcohol-based societies now, right? It's pretty much taken over everywhere. That it's just the norm. People look at you a bit funny when you kind of turn down a drink, and then it kind of highlights. I feel it kind of highlights their sort of insecurity that they're like, oh, he doesn't need to have a drink. Because I was actually that other person, because I remember one of my friends. This is going back a couple years now. I did the same thing to him. I was like, hey man, you want to come out, you know, for some drinks? And he's like, yeah, I'll come out. And then came out, we're all having fun, we're all chatting. And then I went to get him a drink. He's like, oh no, I'm not drinking, man. It's all right. I'm like, what? How are you here? How are you, you know, enjoying yourself? And then it was like, kind of flicked a switch in my brain. I was like, actually, you know, that should be normal. That should be normal. You should just be able to go out and have fun with your friends without, like you said, poisoning yourself.
So I think the thing in Ireland is, number one, like you said, it's a drink-centered society, number one, especially university in Ireland. Like I was talking about this with one of my good friends. Dude, like every week you have some sort of event in the Irish university year that, you know, is celebrated by drinking. For example, you go in, you have freshers. I don't know if it's probably the same in Australia or somewhere.
That's a thing, yeah.
So you freshers, and then after freshers it's Halloween, and then after Halloween it's you have a ball, and then after Halloween, after the ball it's, you know, reading week where you're supposed to study, but instead you drink for a week. So it just keeps fucking going for like the whole year. Every week there's something
that's ridiculous, right?
Like, dude, it really makes you think as well. And just like you said, if you don't drink, then you're ostracized because you pussy, bro. Like you're not gonna drink.
You're
not gonna drink.
You don't want to drink this estrogen beer with me, man.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And once you move away from that and you stop drinking, you realize how. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I still go out. I'll still go out. So even sometimes look. Telling on myself, sometimes I'll have a drink, I'll have a Negroni with my friends, but most of the time when I go out, I don't drink, right? Because like, just like we're talking about, it's poison. It's not good. It's not conducive to anything. You're wasting money on poisoning yourself. What's what's going on there? What's going on there?
A bit of a backwards logic, isn't it? Yeah.
Dude, like in drinks, bro, in Turkey, it's expensive. Like Negroni is probably double what it is in like London, for example. And I lived in London all last year, which is crazy because people here make like a fifth of the money. But anyways, once you stop, you know, drinking and getting blackout drunk every time you go out, you notice kind of how shitty the atmosphere is. Everyone's just like, you know, drunk and horny, and everyone's just like a mess. And they're, you know, like without the alcohol, if everyone was sober there wouldn't be no party realistically. For most venues, you know, like, so it can be like a real reawakening Red Bull moment. If you've never gone out and not drank, next time you go out, don't drink, and just look what unfolds, you know. You probably won't want to go anymore. You'll just notice so many things. So yeah. Dude. So
how are you finding
how am I finding it? Yeah, it's paradise. Perhaps not today because the sun is not shining, but look at me, I'm like surrounded by palm trees.
Man, doesn't look too bad.
This little flat, and there's some guys working on the pool here. So there's a big old pool. It's open in like 3 or 4 days. I'm a 1 minute walk from the beach. I'm a 1 minute walk from the gym. The hospitality here is second to none. I'm well traveled. I've been a lot of places, but dude, these people, the Turks, they will just welcome you with like open arms, and they're just so nice, like to the point where coming from Ireland, at first I was a bit skeptical, thinking that they just want, for example, my money, or they want to rob me or some shit. But I realized, like, you know, they're just super kind people, which is actually quite sad, because in the West, like, especially in Ireland, yeah, you'll say like hi or hello to a stranger, but to like connect on a deeper level is kind of almost taboo. And same in London as well. Like, I lived in London for most of last year. If you talk to a stranger on the street, it's almost like, hey, what are you doing? Like,
I
what are
know,
you
right?
trying
It's a
to?
crazy concept. It's a crazy concept. Even like nowadays, neighbors don't even know each other, you know? Like people in apartments, they just like see their neighbor and they like look the other way. Like 20, 30, 40 years ago, your neighbors, like, you got a community, you know? Now we're kind of missing that kind of sense of community, I feel like, in that Western society. Like you said, it might be nice and different in Turkey, which is good to hear.
It's super good. The only thing that's kind of worrying me here is the inflation, which I know is a worldwide issue. But I was just talking about this with someone yesterday, dude. Like, the minimum wage here is probably about 500 US dollars a month, right? But
Wow.
dude, like, inflation, everything's like 5x in the last year. Like, so I'm just,
Jesus.
it's kind of sad, you know, because obviously, yeah, tourists come and they've got money from other countries, but for the Turks, man, like, I feel for them. If someone's just working in a shop or a cafe, restaurant, you know, they're making minimum, man, it must be
Must be tough, man.
difficult. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And not to get into like the politics side of things. Oh, but just to give an example, like, I found a really nice organic shop 1 minute from my house. They do organic Jersey raw milk, which is like,
Nice.
it's
Yeah,
incredible,
that's the
right?
best, you know. Yeah,
But
100%.
3 days I was there and I paid 80 lira. So that's €4, right? And
Hmm.
yesterday I got the same thing and I paid 100, and that's €5. Now, that might not seem, you know, like a lot. Oh, it's only €1 more, but like, that's the rate of inflation. Something can just
Yeah, in like a
increase
week, you know, that's crazy.
25% in a week, you know. Same with like beef. So in Ireland, I was getting like organic, you know, grass-fed, grass-finished beef from a local farm. It was, for mince, it was probably about €8 a kilogram. Eight
Mm,
euros thereabouts. Here, dude, it's like 24, 25. So, and you
Jesus.
know, it's the cheaper country here, like they say.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
crazy,
just,
man.
it's crazy, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, how's Australia doing? I know Australia has been questionable as well recently.
Yeah, it's a bit questionable, man. The way I track inflation is the price of ribeye steak. So that's been holding pretty steady at the moment. So it seems like we're pretty good over here.
Hmm.
Mm.
I know there's quite a lot of people in the niche from Australia. Do you find that like a
Yeah,
recurring
there is
theme? Is there like a lot of based, for lack of a better word, guys walking around, or?
Not just on the street. You don't run into, you know, your most base dudes just on the street. It's more online. You kind of like find them more online. You know, there's people like dotted around. I've met quite a few people here in this city, that are similar. They're like looking into similar things. They're, you know, quote unquote based. But I feel most of it. So I'm over on the West Coast. Quite a lot of it's over on the East Coast. It's a lot more built up over there.
Okay.
Especially places like Byron Bay and Gold Coast, Brisbane, places like that. That's where it's kind of taking over there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
well aware of Byron Bay. Quite a
Yeah,
lot of
man.
guys from there that I've connected with. So
Yeah,
yeah, it seems to be
100%,
like
dude. Yeah,
a hot spot there. So
100%. Yeah.
would you say Australia has like a big focus on, for example, like this healthy, holistic living? Like, I do see quite a few of my Australian followers, you know, going to farmers markets as well. And even you, I believe, you post quite a few like farmers markets, and like,
Yeah,
does it
man.
have
Hit the
like,
farmers market all the time. Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. It's I think it's like a cultural thing, right? Um, it's I'm from New Zealand originally, right? So
oh well.
I'm not from Australia. So I'm just like, you know, the next one over, but it's very, very similar culturally. And yeah, it's like a part of the culture is the farmers markets, the eating, you know, kind of healthy food. It's not as Americanized as, you know, obviously America and the UK and things like that, where it's just nailed in that you're eating the bloody pharmaceutical pills, you're eating the seed oils, it's the high fructose corn syrup and everything. It's not quite at that stage yet over here. You can definitely see the trajectory heading that way though. But like with that mainstream shift in that direction, there's also like a split that's come off it, and there's more and more people going the other way now. So you know, yeah, you can definitely see that it's worldwide.
Exactly, yeah. Well, every action is going to have an equal and opposite reaction, Newton's third law. So,
man.
you know, you have so much degeneracy going this way, you're going to have a revolt going this way. So, yeah, there's huge.
Yeah, man.
Just one last question for you, because we're coming up on an hour here. So, dude, it's a recurring theme I'm noticing, right? Is going against all of the mainstream advice leaves you healthier than 99% of the mainstream people. So, for example, for the duration of this call, we've been talking about eggs, red meat, the sun, not drinking. So, for example, that would be like, you know, cholesterol. Red meat causes cancer. Sun causes cancer. But, you know, guys like yourself, like myself, we're doubling down on all of these things, and we seem to be healthier than most. So what's going on there? What do you think?
It's quite strange, isn't it? It's a weird coincidence that all the people, you know, eating these cancer-ridden red meat steak all the time, the cholesterol must be through the roof. They're the guys that look the healthiest, and their skin is glowing, and they have the awesome tan, and like they're feeling amazing all the time. It's a bit strange, right? I feel following mainstream health advice is a extremely great way to end up feeling sick, depressed, on a crap load of pharmaceutical pills, and just consuming. You know, they're just nailing you to be a consumer, and they just want you to keep consuming. You just kind of got to take everything you hear from that mainstream side of things with just like, you know, why are they kind of saying that? And you can usually pretty easily find out why they are saying it. It's all sponsored studies to prove red meat's worse than cancer, or it's going to cause cancer, right? And this one with eggs is like smoking cigarettes, and like, you know, it just goes on and on and on. And it's just like a distraction tactic from what they're kind of getting you to kind of follow and do, is like eliminate eggs so you can, you know, eat your new vegan eggs that are full of soybean oil and just, you know, processed grains. And yeah, we're just going to feed you that because that's really profitable, you know. It's all just a business at the end of the day. And once you kind of see it in one thing, you kind of see it in everything. And that's where, you know, I feel there was a huge kind of awakening, like in this sense, in 2019, 2020, when the whole worldwide, and you know, it was crazy and everyone was dropping, you know, around you. And I think that's where people kind of realize, they're like, hold on a second, what they're kind of saying isn't really happening. So if that's happening there, where else is that? Where else are they telling us these things? And it's not actually true. That certainly was the case for me. Anyway, and a lot of people I know, and you know, it's pretty easy to kind of see it in everything. If something's getting like pushed, there's usually an agenda behind it, and the agenda is not to make you as healthy as possible and feel as good as possible. It's usually just to make a shit ton of money. That's pretty much what it usually boils down to. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, you know, number one, it's a lot harder to like take over a small private farmer's produce and then put a fat tax on that, especially if he's selling to his local community. It's much easier to fund studies to say that this red meat that he's producing is terrible for you, and then make a substitute product full of industrial chemicals and seed oils and all this crap, and then, you know, have studies proving that that's better, you know, and then sell that. You know, they care about they care about profit, not your health, you know. And on top of that, oh dude, I hope this podcast should get like deleted or some shit. But on top of that, a healthy person is no longer a paying consumer. You know, feel like everyone should keep that
Exactly.
quote in the back of their mind. You know, if they're
That
making all
lifetime
these,
value, that lifetime value when you start looking after your health, your lifetime value for them just plummets, you know.
there you go.
Because you now don't have to rely on, you know, the healthcare, the pharmaceutical system, them to make you feel better, you know, take 20 pills a day. Isn't the average American taking 4 medications a day or something crazy like that?
Dude,
How is that? Have you seen the semi-glutide as well? Dude, this is ridiculous. It's just getting crazy. In anything but get outside in the sun, eat healthy food, move your body. It's like those three things are just like steered well clear of, because you can't really make too much of a profit from telling people to go outside, right? You can't really make too much profit from telling people to move around and eat healthy food from their local farmer. You know?
Have you seen the injections that they're promoting now to lose weight?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The semaglutide. Yeah.
Semaglutide, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
no, I didn't know the name, but wow, yeah, dude, that is some like,
it's ridiculous.
Crazy shit, man.
Ridiculous.
That is.
I heard some crazy stat. Don't quote me on this one. I don't know if this is completely true, but they saw in the studies that they did on humans, because it's a weight loss drug, right? It's a weight loss injection. 34, I believe, 36% of the weight that the subjects lost was from muscle mass, bone density, and connective tissue. What? How crazy is that?
Man.
How can that be a good idea?
Dude. So it's a fat loss pill, but you lose
You lose your
everything
skeleton
but
at the same
fat.
time.
Oh no.
Yeah, man.
Dude, that is what a black pill. Like fucking hell. But you know what? Then at the end of the day, like we said, if the pendulum swings this way, there's going to be a massive revolt of people like, what the fuck? I don't want to be taking injections. I'm just going to come work with a guy like yourself or myself and actually, you know, lose some weight in a holistic way, feel good for a lifetime, and stop having to take all these bullshit pills and chemicals and injections. What are you doing, man? Like,
it's ridiculous,
like
man.
we were
Yeah,
talking
it's
about at the
relying on
start,
that, you know.
like everyone looks for the easy fix, but the easiest fix is just living like a life that's conducive to all of this. And you know, people think it's like so hard to be healthy and you have to be so dogmatic and you can't do anything. You like all you do is you're stuck into the gym and you're cooking and then you're sleeping. Like absolutely not. You know, you can just really simplify things down. And you know, I know everyone has a different life, everyone wants to do different things, everyone has a different job, different goals. Like you can just work with something that works for you, you know, like
100%, man.
It's so simple.
It's a very simple thing, but a lot of people don't see it, you know. Everyone just, like you said, takes the easy way. They think it's easy, that instant kind of gratification with the food and everything like that, but it actually just ends up being much, much harder down the line. Especially mentally as well. You're kind of just teaching your brain. You can just instantly you don't even have to drive to McDonald's anymore, dude. You order that shit to your door, you know. Like how lazy have we gotten, man? It's honestly sad to see.
Oh man, so yeah, we're coming up on an hour here. So right after this, I'm gonna go pray for the people taking those injections, and hopefully they find God or whatever, and they stop immediately before they whatever. But yeah, Sam, wow, what a conversation, especially there at the end. You know, it really kicked off. We have a lot of things in common there.
Yeah, man, it's good.
So Sam from CoastBrah, what you got going on, man? Where can people reach you? I know you have a website as well where you offer coaching. Any cool projects coming up? Anything people should look out for? Let us know.
Yeah, man. So yeah, you can find me on all socials at CoastBrah. I do have the website as well, coachbartk.com. Running obviously one-on-one coaching. I'm actually full at the moment, so I'm not actually taking in anyone right this second. Probably in the next quarter, some places are going to open up. Probably free up some more time to do more coaching. I still offer services, ebooks, things like that. I made a little book on nutrition, just kind of delve into what we're pretty much talking about this whole time. cutting out things that are bad for you, optimizing everything that's good for you. Things in the works at the moment is more coaching, trying to service more clients. Limited at the moment by times and the systems I kind of have in place. So I'm trying to improve those to actually take this to kind of more people. So that's where we're at the moment, man.
Amazing. And getting coached from a guy like yourself that's competing in 3 weeks, that is huge. So yeah, this has been Fundamental Wisdom Podcast episode 10 with Sam from CoastBrah. And yeah, thank you so much, Sam, for hopping on, and thank you so much for the listeners. And yeah, this has been great. Signing off.